full month of 2019 in the same planner, the same cover, and this is also my first full month in my no-buy. And I've had some ups and downs throughout the whole thing, and it's been a lot more difficult at the tail end than I anticipated it being, but we're gonna get into it and talk about some of the stuff I have over here. But I just want to show you kind of a down view of my Hobonichi Weeks. It's actually not that bad. I'm worried that it's going to expand super quickly because it is a Hobonichi Weeks Mega. It has all the extra note pages. I do put all the washi on it and stickers and that sort of thing, and I don't see myself changing that anytime soon, nor would I want to, really, to be living my best planner life. So I think it's important to show kind of where it is. As far as the cover itself, I do still really like the way that it looks and feels. I've had some water spots. This does something really weird when like anything with moisture hits it. I haven't had any other sort of leather cover do this, but it like lifts the color off. It kind of wears away in time. Like these were super bright against the main body of the planner, but it's since toned down a little bit. But that all just looks like some really nice character, and it still feels super soft and everything. The only thing I don't like is this. So I only use this closure if I'm transporting, really. So if I want to make it compact because I'm throwing it in my bag, that's the only reason that I put it on. If I'm working with it long term on my desk, not even long term, just like if I'm looking at it to reference the assignments I have, or if I have it open at school because I'm bored and I want to work on something, then it will be without. At the same time, as easily as I know that I could just pop it out, I wouldn't, because I feel like it needs that tension in order to stay closed, because this pocket right here is kind of chunky with the crisscross and this little guy, that it needs that weight to keep it down. And this cover lifts for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I broke the spine or something, but on its own it just lifts. So that's that. I'm gonna scooch on in and make sure I'm still in frame. So it's a rainy day, so I apologize if you hear that going on. There's also the ambient noise of my fan that I always have on. So I've been in the same book. For this section, I thought I was going to carry around my ID because my ID is how I clock in and out of work at one of my jobs, but I decided to put the stickers I've been using in there instead. I haven't really done anything to this page nor to this page, but I think it will be a period tracker once I actually have a period. And that happens with me. My hormones are all out of whack. And then this was my December, and I really love the way this turned out. I like writing the month just so it's clear on this side. I mean, it's nice that it has December there, and I'm sure it says it in Japanese or in kanji characters, but it's so uniform throughout, or from month to month, that I feel like it would be easy for me to forget. So I did that. I've been tracking my work. All good things. And this is my January. Again, I wrote the date or the title of the month on the side, and this actually kind of goes with my nail color right now, which is a beautiful color that I found on clearance at Walgreens. It's an SE polish. I think it's from the most recent winter line that they had. It was one of their polar themed, I think. But ooh, so nice. And I do really like this consistency. It's very, very helpful. And now I know when I have to reapply my pet's flea medication. I know visually when I uploaded a video, I've been actually pretty good this month. So huzzah for doing the least possible I could do. Let's see. This is this week. I haven't even... So we are on February 2nd, Groundhog Day, and I have not actually drawn in the month. I think it's because I don't know like the colors that I want to use. I had pulled this washi to do a plan with me. It's one of the Planner Society washies because I used to be subscribed to that planner box, and I thought maybe this would be it because it's got red, but I really don't like the teal in it, so I'm reconsidering. And that's about it. I haven't really forward planned all that much. I did put in when my spring break was, and I think when finals were, because when I took a look at the syllabi this year, I was super shocked by how quickly it comes up, and the fact that commencement will be this week. Woo. And then it's my husband's birthday this week, and yeah, May is going to be a lot of stuff happening all at once. So that's about all I've future planned. I was in here from December 3rd all the way through January. So this is just a really quick flip through. And some of the things that I started doing as I've been kind of more critical about my stationery patterns of purchasing in the past is that I've incorporated some pens that I don't know have either been waiting on the sidelines or that I've ignored for whatever new purchase I make, because that is my pattern. In the past, if I've really liked, like say my first mini vac, if I've really liked that, not only does it propel me to make another purchase, but also when that next purchase comes in, I kind of devote more time to it and forget about this one. So this was like my next level pen that started it all, the TWSBI Mini Vac, and I've cleaned it out recently because I know I really like this one, and I want to focus on some of the other things that I've passed up like really quickly because I was just on to the new thing. And that could be fountain pens, or it could be like just regular pens. Like I'm pretty sure I got this after, and the next thing I was super into was my Colettos again. So it just all comes in cycles, but I've really been loving the time to kind of play around with my fountain pens again. So this was a week where I decided to put the Earl Grey Diamine fountain pen ink inside the all black TWSBI Classic, and it takes a long time for me to go through ink apparently. Despite this being the ink I use here, despite this being the ink I've been using for like 2 weeks in my journal, in my Hobonichi A6, this is still at a very respectful limit. And I know I said, I think during this plan with me, or maybe it was during this one, that I was starting to mark when I actually incorporated a new ink into my system, and that I might track my ink usage. And after that, I did go ahead and I marked all my bottles using some fluorescent skinny washi tape. I put the date on it just so that it would be clear. But before I did it, I made sure to fill up all my fountain pens. And yeah, these haven't moved. I haven't needed to refill in a very long time. I also stopped using the Robert Oster ink because that wasn't the best choice for this pen. I was on the fence about whether or not I really liked this pen, and I do like this pen. So if we go to, let's go here. This is the TWSBI AL Diamond Mini. And it's in gold. And I thought that it was like really scratchy and not really nice. I thought that this might be one that I would try to resell, try to offer it to someone else, and it's not. I do really like it. It's all about the inks, and I guess I'm just not super knowledgeable really with fountain pens. Like, all the purchases I've made does not make me super knowledgeable. I haven't really done my research when it comes to inks. I feel like I do my research when it comes to pens, but I don't do it when it comes to inks because I just go with whatever color I feel like. And see the other side. No actual bleed through, so that's cool. And because of that, I just pick inks on a whim in the past. And that Robert Oster ink was definitely one that I picked on a whim to support the purchase of this pen because I figured, matching ink and matching pen, haha. So that is one that I've decided for now that I'm definitely going to keep, along with this one, which was also kind of, do I really need another? Now this pen is one that I thought I got rid of a while ago. This is the Kaweco Student fountain pen. So if you saw my fountain pen stash video, there was kind of a gap. It was between this one and between this one. Cat hairs everywhere, I apologize. Between this one and this one existed. And the reason that this was my next choice after this Kakuno is that when I bought it, they didn't have the yellow, and yellow is my favorite color. I did buy the yellow when it showed up again, but yeah, that's more problematic pen behavior. But in order to fill my need for a yellow pen, I decided to look on Amazon, which is, of course, the harbor of all fantastic, awesome, guilt-ridden purchases. And I got this. I rationalized it by saying that it was my birthday, because it was. I think I bought this on my birthday, like at 4 a.m. in the morning while I was in bed, just surfing on my phone, probably panicking a little bit about my age. And I got it. It looked beautiful and new. It came in its box. However, the original nib that it came with, I never got to work for me. And I was so sad. And it cost me a lot of money too. And it was a lot of money, and I didn't want to admit that I was impulsive and that I failed. So I decided to put more money into it so that when I bought this, I also bought 2 nibs from the pen website too. So altogether it came in a package, I think with Massachusetts 54th. Yeah, I think that was all the same purchase. And I went through my receipts. It was actually jet pens that I bought my first Next Level mini vac. the Smoke mini vac I bought from Goulet Pens, and that was the one I had the super bad issues with that I had to send off to the company. And that was also where Goulet Pens was like, we can put you in contact with the company, but they weren't super personally helpful. So this was a Jet Pens order along with 2 of the Kaweco nibs. I got, I think this is extra fine, and then I also got the gold nib in fine, and I put the extra fine with a cartridge converter in, and the cartridge converter of course had Massachusetts 54th, which is an ink that I have not had super great experience with in finicky pens. And I feel like for the mini vacs it worked a lot better, but for some other pens it was just like really dry. It could be because it's like a semi-permanent ink maybe, but it just wasn't functioning really well in this pen, and I just abandoned it. Like, I put it back in its box, I didn't clean it out, I had the converter still attached. This nib was the nib that I had it attached to, and it was just sitting in the recesses of my cube bookshelf for, I don't know, like 2 years. So that when I went looking, I think for some notebooks, like right after I did my pen video, I found it again, and I was super sad because it was so dried. Like, the converter had dried, the pen was dry, the nib was dry, it was all really, really bad. But during my last Goulet Pens purchase, I bought like Pen Flush, like a sample vial. I took it up with the converter because the converter still functioned even though it was all crusty. So I took it up into the converter and I was flushing it, and then I just let it sit for like an hour, and I got it working again. However, I think the issue wasn't with the nib ever. I think the issue was the way that I hold the pen. And I just have the Summer Purple cartridge in there, but I think I have to hold it at a very high angle in order for the ink to feed through. And you saw when I undid the pen, because it's been a few weeks since I've used it last, I squeezed on the end of the cartridge, and I find that I need to do that probably more frequently than I would with, say, this pen or my Pilot Metropolitan. So this one I'm still iffy on. I'm still going to use it. It's a nice weight, but it's kind of bigger than I would like. But it looks beautiful. It looks like, when you think of super nice fountain pens, I think this is the image that strikes you, or the image that enters your brain. So revisiting my fountain pens has really made me become a little bit more critical about the actions that I do, and the actions that kind of premeditate my awful purchase habits. So that's been fun. And then if we go to, let's start with 2019. So we're in my notes section. This is 2019. Nothing really has changed. I think I put don't feel guilty about the things that I love, do homework and projects ahead of time, and declutter the things or destash the things that are weighing me down, take pleasure in the good things. And that's kind of important to me because I have a lot of guilt associated with some purchases, and it's kind of undue guilt because we're fine. It's not like me making this purchase has sacrificed something somewhere else, like something very tangible, or something like we couldn't buy food this week because I bought a pen. No, nothing like that. But it's been like, I guess maybe more long term, like perhaps because of my stationery purchasing habits for the past 2 years, if I had put that money in a imaginary savings account, then we could have gone on a nice vacation at some point that didn't materialize because all of this money was in individual tiny stress-induced purchases. So that's something. And I found myself doing this on, what was it? January 31st, so that was Thursday. And I realized kind of the behaviors that trigger one of those stress-induced sort of purchases, and it has to deal with the due homework projects ahead of time. So if I'm at school and I'm between work, or I just had a class, or I got there early thinking that I would work on something, and I'm just feeling like really stressed out and run down and kind of like I need to catch my breath, that I will then go on Instagram and look at all of the beautiful creative people I follow, including pen shops and including sticker shops, and I will feel like the best way to alleviate some of that stress that I'm feeling that is wholly unrelated would be to then click on a link, get to a store, and make a small purchase. So that's related to the due homework and projects ahead of time, because that is time that I should try to be mitigating my stress by actually getting stuff done. Because so much of my anxiety and all that fun stuff is because I'm worried about the what if, and I'm letting it fester, and I'm thinking about it with all of my brain power, like the worst case scenarios and that sort of thing. And that seems so, it seems more realistic to me than me just getting it done right then and there. So that's what I was doing January 31st when I was feeling like I was about to break this thing. And I took a step back, I put down my phone, and then I didn't get into homework, but I did. So there's a page that I have that's kind of sectioned off. It's by my semester information. Right now I just have it paper clipped together. I don't normally, but I do because I was filming. But one of the things causing me a ton of stress is the fact that I'm very much an introvert sort of person, and I'm not the best at making professional connections, and I don't actually know anyone who is a teacher. And it's not like I want to become a teacher because my family or are teachers, and so I have that built-in network that I can bounce off of. So one of the things causing me a ton of stress right now is trying to plan for, contact, and communicate with school sites about me observing in their areas. And the easiest thing to waylay some of that stress is just to make the darn emails, just to send them out. The worst that could happen is they say no. I had that happen, but then I was able to turn it into a yes. And so the next page is just like a crazy labyrinth of, you emailed this person said no. You emailed this person, they said maybe, but you have to do this thing and you have to contact this person, and so you did, and this is their contact information. So it's like a web, like probably what my brain looks like, all messy and weird, but it's just full of all the steps that I've proactively, or is it even proactive if it's something that I should be doing, but that I've taken, all the purposeful steps I've taken in order to take that weight off of my mind. So that's what I did on the 31st, is I just reviewed what I've done already and kind of think about what I need to do next. And that made me feel a whole lot better. So that's one of my behaviors. So if we go through these trackers, I have not kept up with my year in pixels. And on the flip side, I have kept up with my journal entries. So I think I will need to, because I do really want to do this. In hindsight, the colors I picked are kind of not beautiful altogether, but maybe that's why I haven't been doing it. But that's okay. So I just need to review my journal, I think, and go back in and fill in what was going on, because it's still early enough that I can intervene and make some changes. And then I have this. I did recently replace my toothbrush, like at the beginning of the month, so I should probably do that. I did get an oil change too, so I need to fill that in. Ugh. So I did get my hair dyed and cut and all fabulousness on the 10th, and already my grays are like an inch deep, so I need to re-dye it on my own. I haven't been updating any of this because I've been sticking with the Lancome Bien whatever UV sunscreen, because it's working, and I have been really good about wearing sunscreen every time I go out. Let's see. I did try some more perfume samples. I think Saint. At first, I thought it smelled nice, like it was warm and musky, and I was like, oh no, I will support Kat Von D after all of it. But then it really changed with my body chemistry, and it turned disgusting. It was awful. I also tried this Prada one, and it triggered my husband's asthma. It was a little too sweet, so I didn't feel like it was a super big loss that I can't wear it because he can't handle it. Tory Burch, Just Like Heaven, I thought smelled like really nice and pleasant and kind of simple, and so I wore it for 2 days, and on the second day I realized why that scent is kind of like familiar and why I'm okay with it. It's because it smells like bug spray to me. So this is my order tracker. I have placed many orders. So because I've been kind of limiting my stationery purchases, there was only one I made to replace something. And to be honest, I was probably taking liberties. Like, I could have gone to Office Depot or Staples and perhaps have purchased a replacement notebook from them. And I did try. I looked at them. They are about 50% less than Levenger notebooks typically are, but I just wasn't feeling it. They were all really heavy, and I didn't want a leather one, and I felt like those were like the nicer ones, were the ones with leather on it, and I didn't want like faux leather or anything like that. There was one specifically that I had wanted for Christmas that I was given the go-ahead to go and buy, and I did that when it went on clearance. And it did replace a notebook in my collection. The other notebook was all worn away. It wasn't a Levenger, it was an ARC notebook. And I probably could have spent more time and maybe saved a little bit of money if I actually considered one at Office Max. But I was also looking at the oh no, my puppy's having a bad dream. Do you hear the little puppy yips? But I was also looking at the covers, and they were very expensive, and so were the discs, and I didn't like any of them. I felt like if I made the purchase for something I needed and I bought it there, that it would be me just buying something to buy something, not because it was something I needed that would be used for years and years to come, that already fit in with what I had. So I felt like the Levenger option was actually the better option. And I got that notebook on clearance. It's one I'd been looking at for a while. It's the book cloth, not herringbone. It's one of those, but it's not leather, because I didn't like the leather notebooks, which Tool has a lot of, and they do look nice, and I've seen some really fantastic setups that include like those metallic discs. I got the notebook and the rings for the new notebook on clearance. I still had to pay for shipping, so that's what that cost was and how it all added up so quickly. But something I've also noticed with my no spend that has been kind of a win is that while I'm saving, a little bit of money at the end of the month, I'm not spending as much as I normally do. It's twofold, because I'm also not guiltily placing these purchases on my credit cards like I used to. So I used to justify the purchases as it will go on to this credit card. This credit card is the stationery credit card or whatever. And that was one way of rationalizing it, but the other way was to look at that situation is that I felt bad and I put it on the credit card. So I actually checked my credit score, and it has gone up with the amount of credit that's available to me now. So it's working already. I'm not saving that much money though, because I feel like my shopping habits have kind of spread out a little bit into an unexpected category, which is food. And it's not so much that I'm buying like comfort foods or like sugar to drown my sorrows or anything like that. It's more like I'm buying ingredients to experiment with cooking. So to me, that's not bad. I can deal with that. I anticipate that will be the last Levenger purchase I make in 2019. And I'm okay with it, because one of the 2019 axioms is take pleasure in the good things. So me spending double what I would have at Levenger that I would at Office Depot is okay, because I really like the Levenger stuff, and it's okay for me to like it. We'll see how I feel about that in the next few months. So as far as my January specific trackers, like my sleep tracker, I did really like the line graph style. I feel like making it more simple was, I think, key to me actually using it. However, I did put 12 a.m. twice, and that just pissed me off to no end. I did also do a diet soda tracker. Again, willpower isn't something I would consider to be a strength of mine. At the same time, I'm not cutting it out entirely, so maybe that's the crutch I'm resting on. Maybe I just need to excise that from my diet altogether. But I feel like I need the caffeine, and I don't love coffee all the time, or at all. I don't make coffee. If I get coffee, it's usually like a social thing. So the food that I made, that was a neat addition to this tracker because I've been experimenting. I made pot roast, I made bread, I made scrambled eggs with spinach, which sounds so basic, but it was a culinary feat for me because I don't know how to cook. But I like to try. I made chicken burritos, beef and broccoli. I tracked my iron, which I was pretty consistent with for like about a week, and then I stopped. Tracking my period. I kept this for next month. I think it's okay to do it here and then transfer it to the other page. I marked off 2 days, but they were kind of not really here their days, so I don't know if I'd include them on the full-blown tracker. These are thoughts on my no-buy again. So again, I've come down really harshly on the washi. I decided to propose a 1 in, 1 out policy, knowing full well that this will put a near full stop on my washi buying. But if I finish a roll, I can buy a new one. Yeah, that has not happened in January at all. But I did find myself on the Simply Gilded website on Friday, and I was looking, and they still have that book washi, that like antique Halloween sort of themed book washi. I was tempted, but I did not because it's like I'm aware of the rules, so I reference them in my head. I don't necessarily need to look at the list anymore. I just haven't really acquired the habits and the fortitude of mind in order to just ignore it completely and not have to tell myself you can't buy that because you're on a no spend. A replacements only no spend, however. And then I further went into the categories I can replace. In here, paper, but not necessarily Levenger paper. That means that I have the basic, like, you can punch 2 pages at a time Levenger punch, and that paper is super expensive. I do have a ton though, because every time you buy a notebook, you get like 60 pages of the white annotation paper, and I still am sitting on like at least 200 pages of 300-page colored annotation paper. But it means that if I really needed to replace that, I could probably buy a Rhodia A4 notepad for less expense, and I'd be okay punching that because at least the paper quality is similar. That's it. And then I also tacked on that I can't buy any purses, wallets, or backpacks because that is also a thing. I love leather goods, and that can seep out into other categories of my life. And I would have certainly placed an order somewhere here on one of these categories if I didn't have this no-buy in place. And makeup and skincare I can replace from my key staples, but only if there's no other option in my stash. Fast fashion, basically anything from Torrid because I love Torrid, and Torrid clearance. And I put an exemption because I am going out to more school sites and I will have to do interviews and that sort of thing. So I put exempt our professional career interview work special occasion because my graduation's coming up, and jeans. If I busted a pair specifically of jeans, like if the crotch wears out or what have you, I can replace it. But I'm in no danger of doing that anytime soon. So again, just like the washi, that's effectively a you're not buying jeans anytime soon. There was one day where I created a whole cart of makeup on Nordstrom Rack, It was like $200 plus because they had a lot of NARS stuff. And as I was putting this cart together, I was like, what even are you doing? You can't buy this. You shouldn't buy this. Just because it's on clearance doesn't make it good. Just because it's on clearance doesn't make it viable. Just because it's on clearance doesn't mean you have to buy it. And I was doing it when I was bored, I think. I was watching a movie with my husband, and normally that is something I do, is that I would go online and like build a cart or like research and buy something. So realizing I was doing that was very eye-opening. And on the 31st, actually going into the 1st, was the closest I've come to making a non-replacement purchase. And that was the Hobonichi Spring collection came out on February 1st. And there is a lottery sale that they do on 3 covers. One's a Hobonichi Weeks cover, one is an A6, and one is an A5. And I actually put the Hobonichi Weeks cover in my cart. I went to the checkout process. I put in my address. I put in my card. I was just moving to the next step of the purchase, and my card was declined. And it was my bank card. So had it not been declined because they thought it was suspicious activity, I think I would have made that purchase. Now, I got it cleared up like an hour later when they texted me, hey, did you approve this series of purchases? And I had to say yes. I could have gone back and I could have added it to my cart once again and bought it, or rather submitted an entry, because it's a lottery sale. It doesn't guarantee you'll actually wind up purchasing it. It just means that if your name is pulled out of the lucky hat or whatever, then you have that commitment to purchase. So I could have put my name in and gone through the whole process without my card being declined, but I didn't. And I'm very thankful for my card being declined on the auspices that they thought it was fraudulent. So thank you, Bank of America. That is probably the only time I will ever say that, but thank you, Bank of America. So that was probably my lowest point, or the closest I've come to breaking my rules. Now, this was a cute little collection I made about my lipstick lip balm declutter. I had 65 lip products. I kept 43. I got rid of 22. And these were some of the call-outs that I really enjoyed. I have my no buy video ideas, kind of. At first I was going to go through collections of things, like I did with my fountain pens. And the next one I was going to do was definitely pen pens, but I have so many that I feel like doing the weekly, like a different pen series or pen grouping this week. I think that'll be better, and then we can just all look at it after the fact. This next one is just video notes, all messy and not pretty looking. So this I did like mid-January, before school started again. I went through all of my makeup and my skincare and all the stuff that I had, so that I know what I have, so that I know that I don't need to buy eyeliners because I have these eyeliners. I don't need to buy a new glossy boy brow because I have these other options. I don't need to buy a new moisturizer because I have one. I don't need to buy a new eye cream because I have one. So I feel like that would have been some gray area that I could have potentially exploited my replacement side of the no-buy in order to make a purchase that would have felt awesome in the moment. And there's really no room for me to fall into the gaps or gray areas of my no-buy. There's nothing that I can replace so far on this list, including even makeup remover. I did get rid of one. I did use one. I did throw away one of the brow gels because I just didn't like it. But that's about it. So that's been really nice that I haven't felt like the panic and urge to make a beauty purchase to try and hold on to my youth and panic in that way. So that's been good. That's been a good behavior, I think, to keep up. And then I wanted to write like my nighttime and daytime routines, but I'm still not sure about that. I did make a list of iron-rich foods and how to best implement them into my diet. I haven't colored it in yet, but I figured if I'm bored one of these days at school, maybe rather than going on Instagram, I should do that. Then I have my book list, and I've purchased all my books. I have my sort of week at a glance when it comes to school. And paper clipped together, I have some of my school notes. I have the one book I read in January. I have this, which is my spring semester at a glance, which I'm not sure how I'm going to use it, to be honest. I don't know how I'm going to use it yet. I really liked it for my last semester. I felt it really helpful to be able to visualize when specific key due dates are due, but I guess these are more traditional classes maybe, and I don't have things due until just before finals week, so I feel like this might be the wrong set of classes to do this with, but in case I need to, in case I feel like I need to exert a little bit more control, I have it. Which brings us to this month. And I filled all of this out at work, essentially, when it was dead. And I used just another find of this month, which is my Uni-Style Fit Meister pen, the 3-barrel, and Jetstream ink. I also keep Signo inks in here too. So that's about it for January. But looking on to February, I think one of the things that I'm starting to notice, so I really haven't had to replace any pens this month. I only had to replace one notebook and binder, or like one binder, and that's it. I shouldn't have to replace any others. I have what I have. But these mild liners, so this green one, which I use for tracking one of my jobs, I've had to start like double highlighting in order to get the color that it should be. And I do have a replacement waiting in the wings, so that's okay. However, the replacement is one that I got from Michael's, I think in December. And it kind of looks different. So I hope it's still the same color that I think it is. It should be. But I do have a replacement for that one. For this one though, which is also a color in my class color coding system, it's turning into like a really faint purple, which is really pretty. But I also know it's a matter of time before it dies. So the way that this one's been fading has not been pretty. It has caused me to have to like do it twice. This one is fading pretty. But I think I'm okay not purchasing a replacement because I have this Stabilo one. They're not dupes. Like, this one is more cool toned, I think, than this one. But I will make do with what I have for that. And I see no problem with that. Oh, and I can update this ink inventory as well, because I do not have one of the Jetstream. Okay. So that's where I'm at for this month. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you're okay with me admitting that I did buy one thing off of my replacement list that I feel like was a warranted replacement, and that you too feel like that does not violate my replacements only no spend. If you're doing the same thing, I wish you all the luck in the world. We can get through this, and I'm sure as the year unfolds, we will discover some uncomfortable truths about the way that we make our purchases. But that's good, because learning that helps us to hopefully improve as we go. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day.